In today's tutorial, I'm going to be walking you through how to draw the recently canonized Saint Carlo Acutis. We celebrate his feast day on October 12th, and I'm going to show you how to draw him using simple lines and simple shapes. For this tutorial, all you need is a piece of paper, a pencil, and something to color with. So just a reminder, you can always pause the video, rewind, or use the chapters as needed, and you can make your Carlo look however you wish. Feel free to deviate from what I'm doing. The point is just to have fun, practice, connect to God, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we are going to be doing an oval shape for Carlo's head. So close to the top of my paper is where I'm gonna put this oval shape. You can make it as big or as small as you wish. The next thing that we are going to do is we are going to work on Carlo's neck. So we're going to start off with two lines that come straight down from where his head is. So one on the left side, one on the right side. And we're also going to add some lines that create kind of like a letter V shape for his collar that's open on his shirt. So you're going to do a line that comes down towards the middle over on this left side, and one that comes in and down for the right, meeting up to make that V. We're going to be adding like a little triangle on the left and the right side for this part of his collared shirt. So starting near the side of his head, you're going to do a line that comes down, and then it's going to come in and connect to that part of his neck. We're going to do the same thing on this other side. So you're going to start kind of on the bottom edge of the face, do a line that comes down, and then you're going to have it come in, touching his neck to create that open part of his collar. We're going to do another V shape coming down. So you'll do a line that comes down and in from the left side and down and in from the right. And where they meet in the middle, we're going to do a straight up and down line to finish up that collar of his shirt. We're going to be working on his torso next, so a little bit of his shoulders and the sides of his body. So close to the top part of his shirt, you're going to do a little line on each side for however long you want those shoulders to be. From that line, you're going to draw a line that comes down to create that side of his torso, and you're going to do a matching line on the opposite side, making sure that they kind of match in length like this. And once you get those lines where you want them, we're going to connect it with a smile line to finish up the bottom part of his shirt. We're going to work on his sleeves next. So they're kind of almost like triangles. They come down and then come in. So let's start on this left side. I'm going to do a diagonal line that comes down about halfway down his torso, and then I'm going to do a line that comes in and connects it like so. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to do a line that comes down at an angle, and then I'm going to connect it and try to match it in a similar spot. I'm also going to add a second line on the inside to create the bottom edge of the sleeve. So I'll put one line here and one line over here like so. Next, we're going to put in his arms. So his elbows are bent a little bit, his hands are on his waist. So starting where your sleeves are, you're going to do a little line that comes down a little bit for that elbow. And then you're going to draw a line that bends in towards the bottom of his shirt like this. We're going to do that one more time. You're going to do a little line that comes down from his shirt sleeve and then comes down at an angle and kind of connects to his body. You can even put like the little fold of some skin, that bend of his elbow, create a little line there if you wish. We're going to do the same thing on this side. So we're going to create a little line coming down from the sleeve for that bend in the elbow. And then you're going to draw a longer line that comes down towards his shirt like so. And we're going to do the inner arm. So a little line that comes down from his shirt sleeve and then comes down a little bit longer. And feel free to add that little bend of his elbow, little fold of skin there. So his hands are in his hip, and we can just see 4 of his fingers. That thumb is going to be kind of like hidden behind his back, where it's kind of like gripping his pants. So what we're going to do is where his where his arm is connecting to his shirt, you're going to put 4 ovals, kind of like a little longer. And these are going to be for those 4 fingers that we can see resting on his hips. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to work on his pants next. So we're going to be creating a line on each side, kind of matching like where his shirt was. So I'm kind of starting where his shirt is, stopping at his fingers, and I'm just kind of continuing that line on the opposite side. And I'm just drawing this line down as long as I want his legs to be. I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. I'm going to kind of start where his shirt is, skip over his fingers, and draw a line that comes down like so. I'm going to do another set of lines inside of the legs. It's creating kind of like a long, skinny kind of triangle shape. So right about like the middle of the body, but a little bit lower than the shirt, you can put like a little dot or mark showing where you want this top part of the legs to be. And I'm going to have one line that kind of comes down towards this left side a little bit, and one that kind of goes off towards the right side a little bit. And you can make those legs as spread out wide or more narrow as you wish. Before I finish up the pants, we're going to put in his shoes. And one thing I noticed when I was looking at pictures of Carlo, where you can see his full body, he always kind of like turns his feet inwards a little bit, kind of like he's standing like on the side inner edges of his feet. And I just thought that was really cute. And so I tried to do that a little bit in my artwork. So instead of his shoes being straight on, they're kind of curved in a little bit more. But anyway, here's how you would do those shoes. So kind of like in the opening of his pants, you're going to put a curved line, think kind of like a rainbow or like a frown line. And that's going to create the top part of his sneaker. And I'm angling my curves kind of towards each other, just a little bit, like so. So that creates the top part of his sneaker. And then I do a curved line underneath, kind of like a smile to connect it. So it has a little bit of like a bell shape, like this. And to create the sole of that sneaker, I just add a second curved line inside at the bottom, one on each side like this. And to create the laces, I am going to do kind of like a square. So in the center, I'm going to put 2 lines like this, connect them at the bottom. So it's kind of like a little square or a little rectangle shape, like that. And then the laces crisscross each other like an X. And you can just fit however many or few X's as you can for your laces. And you can make it more detailed if you want, but those are my simple shoes. To finish off the pants, I just am going to connect the bottom of my pant to the bottom of the shoe somewhere, like so. And voila, those are his shoes. So we're gonna work on his face next. So we're gonna start off with his ears. About the middle of your oval shape is where you're gonna put a little curve on each side for his ears. So Carlo, he has kind of like this soft, like wavy, a little bit curled hair. So we want to do kind of like wavy, bumpy lines to create the shape of his hair. So when we're kind of creating like where his hair covers his forehead, we want the lines to kind of come down. Think kind of like a smile line. Whereas when we're working on the outside part of his hair, we want to do a curve, kind of more like a frown or a rainbow line. So let's start with the hair that's above his forehead. So I'm going to do some curves, think kind of like a smile. And I'm just going to do a couple for as many as I can get to kind of like fit. You can do them bigger, smaller, but that creates kind of like the waves of his hair above his forehead. Then around his head, we're gonna do some wavy lines too. So I'm gonna start kind of here by his ear, and I'm gonna move my pencil kind of like in and out, the like waves on an ocean or like the fluffy part of a cloud. It's kind of like little bumps to create the curls and waves of his hair. And this line that I can see inside where my oval was first sketched out, I can erase that because I no longer need it. So we're gonna put in his face next, and you can make your face as detailed or simple as you wish. I'm gonna do a simple face, so I'm gonna do some circles for my eyes. So right about the middle of my oval face, I'm going to put in my little simple circles for Carlo's eyes. And for his eyebrows, I kind of did mine a little bit more straight. So I kind of started off with a straight line above his eyes, kind of like this. But on the edges, I angled them down on the side that's closest to the ears, just a little bit. In between his eyes and the bottom of his chin, I'm gonna put a little curve for the bottom of his nose. And then in between his nose and the bottom of his chin, I'm gonna put in a smile. So I wanted to show that his mouth was just a little bit open. So I'm going to start off with the top part of my smile, kind of like a long stretched out curve like this. And then I'm gonna add another curve underneath and connect it. I added a little line on the left and the right side of his mouth like that. And unless there's any other details that you want to add to your Carlo that I did not show you, feel free to do so. So we're going to go ahead and color our Carlos, and you can use any supplies that you have at home. I'm going to use markers because that's what shows up well on camera. And when I use markers, I love to outline my pencil with pens like this before going ahead and coloring them. So I'll turn on some music and we'll get back together in a little bit. Thank you so much for following along. I would love to see how your drawings of Carlo turned out. Feel free to tag me on social media, and I'll post some links in the description if you'd like to support my channel. I want to remind you that you are loved. God loves you very much, and He loves your artwork very much. Thank you so much for following along, and I'll see you in the next video.